AI won't replace you, but the business owner using AI just might. This week, we're breaking down the top 5 AI tools every business needs with Matthew Manyak, award-winning creative AI strategist and owner of Double M Digital LLC. We're talking what to use, what to avoid, and what could quietly make your competition irrelevant. So if you're not using AI yet, this episode might sting a little, and that's a good thing.
Lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Boltz. I'm an attorney and founder of Boltz Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Boltz, owner of Boltz Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Miss Biz, where we're putting the Miss in biz.
Let's get biz done.
Today's episode is one that every serious business owner needs to hear because whether you love it, fear it, or pretend it's not happening, AI is reshaping the business landscape in real time. Not 5 years from now, but right now. And joining us today is someone who isn't just talking about AI, he's building it. Matthew Manyak is the owner of Double M Digital LLC, where he blends photography, videography, copywriting, coaching, and cutting-edge AI integration for brands that want to lead, not follow. He's an award-winning videographer, a writer, a videography coach, a co-host in Artificially Smart Marketing podcast, and a personal friend of mine. And at just 27 years old, he's already accomplished what many entrepreneurs spend decades working towards. 2 BNI years ago, he led his entire region in one-to-one meetings, building more relationships than anyone else in his network. This year, he was recognized as Member of the Year in his chapter. That tells you something important. He understands both technology and people. He's a homeowner in St. Augustine. He just bought a sick Corvette. He runs on coffee and Cheerios. He studies crypto, and he might be one of the most intellectually curious creatives that I personally know. But what makes Matthew different isn't just his talent, it's that he understands something that most business owners don't yet. AI is not replacing creativity. It's amplifying it. So this conversation isn't just about hype, it's about leverage, because businesses that learn how to use AI wisely will scale faster, operate leaner, and create smarter. And the ones that ignore it, they'll feel it. So welcome, Matthew.
Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here today. So Matthew, you're very, very impressive for just 27 years old. Your accomplishments are beyond what most people do in an entire lifetime. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how it got started?
Yeah, so my journey started actually when I was in elementary school, of all places, believe it or not. I had been going through a very serious depression phase at the time, and it got to the point where I, made the move of attempting to take my own life. And as I was losing consciousness during my attempt, this voice, these words came into my head, and it was, if you do this now, there's no hope for what could be. Call that God, call that the universe, whatever you believe in. I stopped myself out before, completing, and I thought about that for a second, and this was all in 5th grade, And in that moment, I decided I'd give myself a week to find something to do for the rest of my life to get me out of the hole that I was in. And if I found something that got me out of that hole, I'd stick with it the rest of my life, come hell or high water. And if I didn't, I'd come back and complete the attempt. And during that week, what I ended up finding was writing. And it was just small stories in my English journal at the time that led to screenplays, and that led to me wanting to delve deeper into filmmaking and video production, and one thing leads to another, and that's how my business came to be. I had been thinking about around the 2019 timeframe making the jump out to LA or to Atlanta or New York to pursue a filmmaking career, but as we all know what happened in 2019, Hollywood took a nosedive, everything locked down, and the culture of Hollywood just became so much more politicized and so much more toxic than it already was. And I was like, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of continuing that trend. And so I was like, I can either take the skill sets that I had learned and developed since 2012, that was when I did my backyard Nerf war filmmaking years, all the way up to that point. And I was like, I can either find a completely new line of work, or I can take this and find a way to commercialize it. And that's where, more of the business side, the entrepreneurial side came to be. I worked a corporate job for all of 9 months and realized that was not a life that I wanted. And that after that corporate opportunity, I would never work for anyone but myself full-time ever again. I had a few opportunities that came up, but each time that opportunity came up, it was like this primal switch in the back of my head. It's just like, okay, it's time to jump and make it happen.
Wow, I don't even know where to start with that, to be honest with you. I mean, that's such an impactful story, and it really shows a lot about your character. Even at such a young age, you had the wisdom and the self-drive to be able to kind of pull yourself out of it and make something from nothing. I'm kind of speechless right now, to be honest with you. That was very, very deep. And, I love that you were able to find something that gave you fulfillment and be able to have the clarity, direction, and drive to be able to make something that's obviously been very successful for you and something that you enjoy as well. Now, as far as the filmmaking is concerned, did you go to school for that?
Yes, so I had the opportunity to go to Douglas Anderson School of the Arts up in Jacksonville, Florida. It's a high school. They had a cinematic arts program, but they have other arts departments. Like I worked with a lot of people that were in their theater department, that worked in their creative writing department. They had a bunch of different creative fields that you could explore. And instead of your traditional say tech electives, it was just arts-based courses, and so you could get in a lot of ways a college level art, like creative education, without it being at like a university, right, so to speak. So that was where I got most of my hands-on training, the technical training. But after that was during a time where I wanted to pursue film and kind of make that move to Hollywood. But learning the business side, learning balancing a budget, things like that. That was all things that I learned just through trial and error from trying to start my own business and develop it from there. Yeah.
Well, you've done an excellent job in just basically building your company from nothing. I know when we met, I think it was pretty much in the early stages of your business, correct?
Yep, I was still working a 9 to 5 part-time at that time.
Yeah, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you started out and within a year you were making six figures. Is that correct?
Well, the sort of yes, sort of no. It depends on how we on where we draw the marker. But you know, if we count 2017, which is really when I started freelancing a little bit more, I was not making six figures back then, unfortunately. But when I made the jump to really go full time into my own business, my first year I did 70, I think it was, and after that, during that first year is when I joined BNI, and then my second year I crossed the six-figure mark.
Yeah. And BNI, has that been a pretty large part of, or a large contributor to how you were able to build your business?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say about 90% of my business is either BNI directly or referrals of BNI or referrals of BNI at this point.
Just goes to show you again the power of building those relationships and really getting to know people and networking, just the impact that it can make in your overall business.
Yep.
So I also understand, in addition to having your videography agency, you're also a co-host of the Artificially Smart podcast.
Yep, Artificially Smart Marketing. So it's a podcast where we talk about, you know, AI trends and in regards to the marketing, you know, industry and niche, looking at how it's disrupting, how it's developing, and, you know, really what are some things, you know, for people to look out for as this new technology emerges and continues to develop and transform everything.
I remember when AI first came out, you were actually telling me about it and helping share the advice and tips to prompt it correctly, and because I was like, it's not working. Like, you got to prompt it, you got to feed it with the right information. Yep. So when you and your partner created the podcast, what kind of gaps were you trying to fill?
So for me, coming from the video background, I was looking at how could this amplify and accelerate a creative process, you know, that used to take X amount of time. And then on his end, he comes from more of a marketing background than I did. And so he was coming at it from more of a technical advertising kind of background. And so we thought that with my side being more the creative, his side being more the technical, Tony, and you know, us coming together to create that podcast, you know, we could take on both angles of attack for, you know, the questions, the topics, the programs, and best practices.
We are looking for young people.
That's creepy.
Not like that. We're looking for young, inspiring entrepreneurs or professionals.
They must be located in the Orlando area because we want to give them the chance to be on Miss Biz.
We are looking for 3 inspiring young professionals under the age of 30 that we can interview on the Miss Biz podcast.
So don't hide your kids or your wife. Nominate them today. Comment the word young professionals and we'll send you the nomination form. Let's get biz done.
So Matthew, for someone who hasn't used AI much, what is the first thing that you think that they should understand about AI?
I would say there's 2 things, you know, because we can approach it from the ideological standpoint, and we can also approach it from the technical standpoint. So the ideological standpoint is it's not going away, you know, dread it, run from it. Destiny still arrives all the same. Cute quote Avengers. But it's not going away, and so, you know, kind of like you said during the intro of the episode, it's one of those things that you either have to learn how to use it or get left behind if you're, especially if you're running a business. And even if you're working a 9 to 5, it's one of those things that's going to come for, you know, it's going to amplify the high performers, and it's going to give the lower performers a lower barrier to perform higher, I think. And so if you're unwilling to seize this opportunity or see it for what it is from that standpoint, you know, yes, it does have its risks as well, but again, it's one of those things like the internet, it's not going away. So we got to learn how to use it in order to continue to be competitive in a rapidly evolving business and global ecosystem. But from a more technical standpoint is a lot of people get wrong of prompting. and just to kind of keep it simple for the audience, like looking at like ChatGPT as an example, we've all heard of that. We've all at least probably used it once, to do something, whether that's to write a social media post, create a to-do list, or something to that degree. I feel like most people at this point would be familiar with it, and it's one of those things where, in a lot of ways, you got to be very specific about what you're trying to get out of it. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to say, write me a teleprompter script for a YouTube video that talks about this versus write me a teleprompter script in the voice and style of Alex Hormozy that runs 6 to 8 minutes when spoken aloud, that features a engaging viral verbal hook at the opening and a clear call to action to like, comment, subscribe at the end, weave in humor that only a Floridian would enjoy, right? So on and so forth. So you're getting more specific with what you're trying to get out of it in order to train it, feed it, and ultimately have it help you give you what you want.
Yeah, I mean, you have a great point that I think a lot of the people that are against it are maybe the older generation who just don't have the right information about it. But I know that it used to be when it first came out, and I was one of those. I was apprehensive to use it, but AI really has a way of being able to streamline processes, give you ideas that you never would have thought about before, and really like take your business to the next level if you use it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just real quick on that, I think with the advent of AI, a lot of people got wrong that AI is Skynet, when in reality it's AGI, artificial general intelligence, which is more akin to what Skynet is. With AI, it's reliant on us prompting or some sort of prompt system prompting it, versus being able to think for itself.
Right.
And there have been some instances where it has started to develop AGI-like behaviors, but we're not quite there yet, I don't think.
Right.
Getting there. Give it another 2-4 years, but right now from our implementations and things like that, I think we're at least a few more years out from that.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it advances and what really the future holds in terms of AI.
Absolutely.
So one of our listeners wanted to learn about AI tools, which is why I knew that you were the right person to contact for this episode. So what we're interested in learning and discovering is kind of what your top 5 AI tools that you feel every business should need.
Yeah, so great question, and I think, ChatGPT, obviously. I think that, if we look at the tools that are out there, Chat's it's the best known. Claude is another alternative that I think is better in some ways, not so better in other ways. I use ChatGPT mostly as a level 10 kind of overview sort of standpoint, but if I'm writing scripts, sometimes I'll bring that over to Claude because I feel like it writes just a little bit better copy than Chat does in under certain circumstances. Secondly, for me, I use a lot of AI imagery sort of generators, right, to create stock photos and some stock clips and things like that. So Google recently had Nano Banana Pro, I think it was, that came out. I think that's one of the better models that's out there for visual image creation. On top of that, a AI video generator. Those can be hit or miss. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of different models out there, and I think what a lot of people get confused is platform versus model, right? So if there's Runway. I get access to AI models through my Artlist IO subscription, which is like a stock footage, stock music, and now stock AI sort of program. But a lot of people are like VO3 or VO4. I mean, they're coming out with new. I feel like they probably just came out with VO5, and I don't even know about it yet. But VO Clean is another model that's doing pretty good. One that's actually causing a lot of apprehension with Hollywood right now. China just came out with one called C-Dance 2.0, and that is creating videos that had me like thinking it was real.
Was that the one that you sent me? The one that was on X?
No, so there are a few that I've seen on X, but like they're actually coming under fire specifically from Disney right now, and I think Warner Brothers, because people thought that the trailer for like Avengers Doomsday came out because it looked so real.
Wow.
Like there's been Superman versus Homelander clips that have come out. There's been someone did a Deadpool versus Green Lantern because Ryan Reynolds, and it's like it looks real. Like people are creating 15-minute short films with this model, and the perk, and I think the way that Hollywood might want to consider looking at this is speed, and efficiency. So instead of, on one hand, there's a human capital component of one shot taking 20 people to create. Now one person can create, and then those other 19 can be used to create other shots for other projects, right? So I think, there's this question of, is AI going to take jobs? That kind of comes out of that, but also, the way I see it is it's going to amplify, again, like I said, the high performers to perform higher. So we have our chat/Claude for copy. We have our Nano Banana for imagery. We have I'm going to classify them all as AI video generators. Personally, I like Kling, and I like what Seedance is doing, but I don't think it's available in the U.S. as of the time of recording this episode. So I'm watching that very carefully, very closely. A subset of Claude is Claude Code. And that is where you can use AI to code programs, software, things like that for you. It's one of those things that you probably want to have at least a little bit of code background.
Yeah, I was going to say, could go bad real quick.
Yeah, but looking at something like that where it can, help to custom develop, software and programs that you can use in your business. For me, I'm actually working on a project right now where I'm using it to help me code a trading system for my crypto engagements, to automate trading signals for me in that regard. And then lastly, I'm going to go ahead and just say CRMs, like AI-powered CRMs, where you have different integrations. We're seeing, AI voice agents are becoming a very big thing. We're seeing AI call tracking, where you can listen into the call and analyze from like a sales standpoint, the performance of the salesperson, and say, hey, here's what they did good, here's what you can do better, looking for areas of improvement. Things of that nature. From a marketing standpoint, speed to lead and follow-ups is key. So you can automate that through AI tools. AI, ads like ad targeting, things like that. But all of that is within the typical CRMs these days. Like I know Go High Level is a big one. In the home services, you have Service Titan and some of these other ones that are now weaving in these AI solutions to really empower and enhance the capabilities of small business owners.
Yeah. Wow, that is impressive, and such an extensive list, and the fact that you could just bat them off like that is really astonishing. So we have our tried and true methods right here. So I definitely, most of those I've heard of, but there's a couple that you mentioned that I need to do some research and see, what it's like. As far as kind of going back to copywriting, when people are using AI like Claude or ChatGPT for copywriting, how would you recommend that they keep their brand voice authentic and not make it sound so much like ChatGPT-ish?
Yeah, so something that I've done is I've taken a few different like transcripts of interviews that I've done, podcasts that I've done, things that are a bit more longer format to really kind of capture my speaking style, my vocal patterns, and I can feed that into my Claude or my chat and say, hey, here's my speaking pattern. We want to emulate this style, going forward. And so you give it the information so that it can help you help you is really the biggest thing. And then if there's things that you don't like about the way that you speak, then you can say, hey, chat, take this but make it better. Right? But also going into that and being like, use wording that is, going to resonate closer with the home services industry or with the medical industry or the legal field, things like that. And, obviously too, if there's any, compliance kind of items that, that you need to abide by, you can tell it, hey, don't use these words or use language that doesn't cater to this or things like that. Not saying it's going to be perfect, but it can help cut down the time that you spend.
Oh, yeah. Tremendously. I love that you mentioned, emulating a specific style, because that's what I do with my clients, especially if they're just starting out and they're not sure what their brand voice is. I usually ask them to look online and find their ideal avatar, somebody that they look up to, someone that's a leader in the industry and they like their style and they want to not necessarily duplicate it, but that's what they resonate with and want to show to their audience as well. So that's what we'll do too when we're working on their scripts or we're working on their copy. We will tell ChatGPT, don't copy this, but we want you to take this style and emulate it into this information. So I love that you shared that tip. I think that is pretty solid.
What sorry, I'm getting over a cold. That's why I'm not talking much today. I've got a hoarse voice, but what would you say to people who feel like when something's written by ChatGPT or Claude that it's disingenuous, that it's not really them? I saw, for example, on Facebook the other day, an employer wrote, employees, stop sending your boss emails written by ChatGPT. We can tell that it's ChatGPT. And felt like it was disingenuous or it wasn't really coming from them because it was written by AI.
Yep. So two things there. I think one, you want to make sure that whatever you send out there is representing you. So if you're an employee that's using chat to write your emails, don't just copy paste send, because there have been several instances that we've observed where AI can also hallucinate and it can get details wrong. Mm-hmm. I was in the throes of Reddit one day, about actually last week, and I'd seen something where this company had basically fed AI data and to help the CEO develop strategy for some sort of market expansion. And then one employee, they had gone through all the meetings, gone through all the planning, because at first everything seemed, good and it was working fine. But then as time went on, someone actually went back to just double check the data and all that, for some reason. I don't know why. But they were like, oh shoot, because it was hallucinating on the data. Mm-hmm. And so they had, put forth all this money, time, resources to deploy into this new market when the filtering of the data was faulty. So, going back, I still think that AI's got a good bit of areas to continue to develop, but it also, we want to make sure that it's not hallucinating on the content. It's not, and also too, in that example, not knowing where it comes from, but just generally thinking that person may have just done a basic prompt, respond to this email, and then copy pasted whatever it put, not saying, hey, write this in my tone of voice and style. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you use business casual language based on, their relationship with their boss in that case. And so I think the disingenuousness comes from, on one hand, them probably not checking the prompt or checking the output before sending, or on the flip side, not prompting it well enough to respond appropriately to that email. In school they always tell you to check your work.
Right.
More people need to do that, I think.
Well, and as an employer myself, I can tell when someone sends me an email and it's been written by ChatGPT, but I don't view it as being disingenuous because it's still the message that they want to send. Right. It's just done more eloquently. And that's really how I can tell, because the eloquence with which the words are spoken are not going to be characteristic of how this person would ordinarily write. And so I can tell that they've had some help, but at the same time I don't mind that because I can understand better where they're coming from. I can
Yep.
understand better what they're trying to say, and it allows me to give them a better response as well because they've communicated their message more clearly.
Yeah, and the one issue that even with that I think people need to just keep in the back of their heads is that we don't want to create an over-reliance on ChatGPT.
Yes.
Because, what we're seeing in the education field, right, is all these kids are using chat to do their homework and write their essays.
Yeah.
And it's giving just kind of this disingenuous in that sense. And, if we take that behavior, if it's not corrected or disciplined now, those are the people that are going to be running the country in, 10, 15, 20 years. And suddenly that's where Skynet comes in, where it's not ChatGPT or AI directly, it's AI, kind of piggybacking off of just the lack of education, the lack of discipline, the lack of awareness that this generation is going to have to combat and just be aware of as they continue to grow and develop, as human beings.
Right. I think of it, I was talking with someone about that the other day, about how the generations coming up now are going to have no writing skills because they don't have to write anything. But at the same time, I think back to when we were younger and we had to go to the library to research, and people thought that, well, this new generation with the internet accessible at their fingertips aren't going to have any research skills. Mm-hmm. And that's true. Like, if you threw me in a library and said, go find the answer to this question, I'd be there for hours if I didn't have access to the internet. And so I think it's true that we do lose those skills when we have access to technology that makes it so much easier. But at the same time, we now have the calculator, for example, and we don't have to know how to do math in the same way we have that tool. But does that really hurt us that we can't, that we may not know how to do long division on our own without the aid of a calculator? I don't know. In some ways, I can see the disappointment that people are not going to have the writing skills that they have. But the question is, does it matter?
Yeah, I think my personal opinion on the catch between, say, the example of the calculator in AI, and even like with the internet with research, is there's still a tactile function. There's still a practice of discipline that needs to be exercised to know how to use the calculator and what you're getting out of it. And same thing with the internet, to go after the information that you want to find, and just check the sources, things like that. With AI and where I think it's going from just the societal component, with all these things, there's a prerequisite of foundational knowledge and foundational discipline that we had to have going into it, versus here is you can type a sentence that a 5-year-old could write in a chat, and it'll give you it can give you an essay that someone in college used to be able to write, or something to that degree. So I think the thing that this generation needs to keep in mind, if we want to continue on the uptrend, is that AI is a tool, not a replacement of complex thought and dynamic personal development.
Yeah. Oh, such great points. Check your facts, and make sure that it's giving you the accurate information, because you're right, it does make mistakes, and people have gotten into some big trouble by not taking the 2 seconds to really make sure that it's authentic and genuine and right. But I also agree with your point, Brooke. Like, I think in some instances, I would rather my workers use ChatGPT to respond to clients, because it sounds better in some ways than if they were to not have used it at all. So it's just, I think it's really about finding that balance and making sure that you have the right boundaries in place. So AI, video in general is huge. We see it all over our feeds. We see it pretty much everywhere that we go online. And AI for video has become a huge trend recently. I know that you mentioned some of the tools for video creation. Do you have any tools that you use for video editing?
There are a few video editing tools that I use. One is just called Captions AI, and essentially what does is, they've added so many new features to it, but at start, and really my core use of it is, being able to auto-generate the captions that, the trending social media reels where it's like, the captions are popping up as what you're saying, things like that. It can do that for you, in the span of 5 minutes or something like that. And then they now have an AI video editor that, you can just feed your footage in and it'll edit it for you.
That's cool.
I don't like it though.
No.
I don't use it. And the reason for that is because it'll give you your edit, but not, at least in my opinion, the level of maneuverability that I like to have in creating a video. Like if it was able to give me, a few different layers and I can modify and adjust and tweak things, a little bit more cleanly, I think that would be great. Maybe that's just a UI thing on their side, I don't know. But, as someone who has learned all the skills to do what it's doing, I'm like, this is great, but if you're not going to let me customize it, then I'd rather just do it here. Right. And so there's that. I love, again, Google's Nano Banana tied with some of the AI image to video elements. There is actually an instance where we can take photos, say that I'm a real estate photographer, but I have no video skills. I just do photography. I can now take my images, convert them to video, and now offer a real estate home tour video that I wasn't able to do before. Maybe it was just a skill gap or anything or something like that, but it now is allowing people to offer services and solutions that may not have that they may not have been able to do before. Now, I personally, when I'm doing that, sometimes what I'll do is I'll create a image with AI and then convert it to a video to make stock footage that ties into whatever it is that I'm creating for the client. So just looking at it as sometimes it's going to take a few iterations to get it exactly how you want it.
Right.
But it's speeding up that process for me in ways that 6 years ago couldn't even think of.
Yeah, it gives you so much more versatility and options as well, because sometimes for really niche industries, it's difficult to find the right copyright-free image or the right copyright-free video. So now being able to create something, if you can't find it, I think just gives us a lot more options.
Do you love the Miss Biz podcast?
Because we love you.
Here's 3 things you can do to show your support.
1, write us a review. Apple, Spotify, and Google My Business are the best platforms to write a review.
2, follow us on social media. Our handle is @MissBizPodcast.
3, join our Facebook group, Miss Biz Nation, for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes footage. Also, ask questions related to your business and discuss topics from our episodes.
End of part 1.